So I've long been an advocate of ownership of your home rather than renting. Now, of course, there are times when renting simply makes sense. Perhaps you're young, perhaps you're in college, perhaps you're in a transient situation, but once you're in a place and your roots are down and you're settled, it just makes sense to own more often than not. Now, I'm perhaps biased because I come from a background of mortgage lending, where I helped hundreds of people buy homes, often their first homes, often rental homes, often investment homes, which they then flipped for more money. But invariably, people came back and said, "My God, this was the best thing I ever did." And I literally never had someone come back and say, "Damn, why did I buy a house?" Now, mind you, I should point out that I kind of stopped lending in the late 90s, just before the crash, so perhaps that's part of it. But even if those people had held on to their homes, today they'd still be the best investment. So here's why you should buy. If the payment makes sense, it works. Done. Forget about the value, forget about the resale, it just makes sense. Because if you can rent something today for $1,500 or buy it today with a payment of $1,500, the buying is better. Because you're going to get a tax write-off at the end of the year for your mortgage interest paid, and although you'll have to cover, some repairs along the way, you're going to become essentially immune to inflation. Now, we bought our house about 3.5 years ago. At the time, it was within about 8 months of the bottom of the market. Now, to rent the house that we own, it would have cost at the time about $1,500 to rent. We were able to buy it for a payment of about $1,300. Now, we had to put new carpet in, we had to paint it, we actually had to put a roof on it. The roof alone was $2,000. But $2,000, I mean, that's nothing. That's like, a couple $100 for a few months. That's nothing. And now that it's 3.5 years later, we were able to refinance just before Trump was elected and rates shot up. We were able to refinance. Now our payment is under $1,200 for a house that now rents for $1,800. So we're saving $5,000 a year off what it would cost us to live in the same place. $5,000 a year. That's crazy. And our payments will go up as insurance and taxes go up, but those are a small part of our payment. A small part compared to the entirety, which would be going up each year. So, if you can, if you're in a place, if it even looks like it makes sense, you gotta buy. You gotta buy. Because if rates go up and you're on a fixed rate mortgage, you're fine. You're safe. If rates go down, you can refinance. If you have some huge emergency where you need to pull 20, 30, 80 grand out of your house, you've got that flexibility. Now, I don't think you should ever do that if you could possibly avoid it. But if you own the home and you have the equity, that possibility exists. I'm not saying go buy a boat with it, but, if some emergency were to arise, you would have that flexibility. My cousin took a home equity line of credit to buy a distressed sale home in his neighborhood. It's a double wide on an acre. He bought it for $55,000 3 years ago. The place is already worth $150,000. He went in, he remodeled it, he put in a whole new bathroom, just on weekends, just for fun, to rent it out and make money. Well, when we went by on Christmas, I looked at it and the damn thing clearly is dark. I said, hey, Tommy, come on. What's going on with the rental house, man? He goes, yeah, we're just sitting on it. I go, well, rent it out or sell it or something. No. We've got $100,000 sitting right there. Now, he's not one of those landlords that's driving up prices because he's way out in the country and it's not like there's a whole lot of demand for the property he has. But if somebody wanted to buy it, I mean, he tripled his money in 3 years. For doing what? Putting in a bathroom he didn't even really need to put in? And he couldn't have done that if he didn't have the equity in his primary home. I'm just saying, guys, given the opportunity, you should consider buying over renting. I'm just saying.